Hi, I'm Garrison with Newport Pontoons. I want to talk to you today about the differences about how a pontoon boat is built, specifically the Avalon luxury pontoon line, and the differences about how the substructure of this boat is built compared to other boats that are on the market and why this is so important. First off, we're going to start at the very front of the boat. Avalon prides itself in being the strongest substructure of any pontoon boat on the market. And numerous reasons why that is. Right off the bat, you have a solid full riser that goes all the way down the pontoon on the inside and outside of each pontoon on the boat. If you have a 2-pontoon boat, that's 4 risers. If you have a triple pontoon, that would be 6 risers. The solid full riser is very important because other manufacturers try to cut back on some of these areas. If you look at the outside of other manufacturers, it looks like they have a solid full riser. They actually have a skirt that makes it look like it, and then you look on the inside and their risers are actually spaced or gaps. So you got open spaces and open gaps. What this does is it causes twisting of your pontoon. So one thing that's very important, and the best way I try to explain it, is if you're building a house, this is what your foundation is built off of. And if you're building a house, you're not going to build a gapped or a broken foundation of your house. Same with coming off of your pontoon. You don't want a gapped or a spaced foundation. Avalon's the only boat on the market that does a solid full riser all the way down the boat. The next thing we want to talk about is the cross members on the boat. Avalon actually uses what is called a hat channel. Other manufacturers use what is called a C channel. A hat channel is 1.5 times stronger than a C channel. The other thing that's really important is if you actually go up to other boats and to our boat, you can actually feel or even look at your cross members. The cross member on an Avalon pontoon boat is the full width of the boat. Other manufacturers actually have 1 inch to 1.5 inch gap down the side of the boat, so they're 1.5 inches short on this side, 1.5 inches short on the other side, so that's 3 inches shorter on their cross member. Why do they do that? Quite simply, they do it to save money. Their argument possibly is there's no down pressure on the outside of a pontoon boat, so you don't need support over there. Avalon's argument is if you're coming into a dock on a windy day and you hit the side of that dock hard, if you don't have any support against the sidewall because you have that gap, it'll actually dent the outside of your sidewall or dent the outside of the pontoon. So in the future, down the side of a pontoon will have dents in and out if you don't have this solid structure all the way down. The next thing that's very innovative about an Avalon pontoon is its nose cone. If you notice Avalon's nose cone, the splash fin is up high out of the way. Most other, not all manufacturers, but a lot of the other manufacturers actually weld a splash fin in down low on the pontoon. There's a major issue with that. That splash fin comes in at the same level as a dock. Look at any pontoon boat that has a welded splash fin on, and you'll see if it's a couple of years old, that splash fin will either be bent and in some cases even snapped off because they've hit the dock coming in. With Avalon's pontoon nose cone, the splash fin is up high and away from the dock. There's also no weld, it's a bend. So what happens is they come up each side, they bend and then lap over. So it's actually double the thickness. So you can actually stand on the nose cone of this pontoon and it won't break or bend or anything of that nature. You go up to some of the others, you can literally grab it with 2 fingers and wiggle the splash fin up and down. Those are some major differences with the substructure of Avalon's boat. Now I'm going to take you inside. We're going to talk about some of the stuff on the inside. Okay, now we're inside one of the Avalon boats, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the differences on the inside of the boat. First off, one of the most important things that I feel is important has to do with the seat frames of the boat. Avalon, if you notice our seat frames, are actually an aluminum seat frame. This has numerous advantages. Number one, it's going to give you more storage space because it's a square box that it's built off of. Other competitors and other manufacturers on the market actually do a plastic molded seat frame that all of their seats are built off of. There's a couple of major issues with that. Number one, if it's a plastic molded frame and when you hose your boat down and you go to cleaning your boat, there's no way to get the moisture, because water's going to seep down in there on our seats or anybody else's seats. Water's going to seep down in there when you're washing the boat. There's no way to get that water out if it's a plastic molded frame that's all one compartment. With Avalon's, because it's an aluminum seat frame, it's actually vented. So all the way around the backside, it's raised 1/4 inch so the air breathes through the outside. And then on the front side of the Avalon seats, there's actually holes inside of here that allows air to freely flow inside and outside of the seat to reduce the risk of mold and mildew buildup. Another thing that's very important is when you get to the seats themselves, Avalon uses a 50 gauge vinyl for all of their seats. Whether it's our entry-level boat or all the way up to our top-of-the-line boat, we use a 50 gauge vinyl. Other manufacturers use a 40 or 45 gauge vinyl. We use the heaviest, thickest, best quality vinyl of any manufacturer on the market. Why is a 50 gauge better than a 40 gauge? Well, the big thing to think about is punctures. You have something in your pocket, you got dogs or kids jumping on the seats, somebody has something in their pocket, they sit down. Of course, if the thicker it is, the less chances of a hole or something getting punctured into the seat. So that's something that's really neat, and it's on all of our boats. So what Avalon does is they just go an extra step on everything that they do. The next thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is about the size of engines today. Because of the technology and the triple tube systems that are on pontoon boats, allows for a much larger engine than in days past. This particular boat has a 200 Verado on it, and these engines weigh a lot. Anywhere from 600 to 800 pounds depending on the engine. Now, when the boat is sitting in the water and the engine's down in the water, it's not that important, but when you're towing the boat and it's sitting on a trailer, that's a lot of weight to be bouncing going down the street. So one thing that's very important is actually your engine mount and how secure is your transom to the boat. Avalon is proud to have more cross members in the back quarter half of this boat than any other manufacturer on the market. And what that allows us to do is that allows us to drive more bolts through the cross members for the engine mount than any other manufacturer on the market. So our transom or our engine mount areas have 36 bolts holding that engine mount on there to give more stability to these larger, heavier engines, compared to our top competitor has 8 bolts holding in their engine mount, 8 or 32. It's pretty simple to see which one would be stronger there. So that's another step that Avalon takes to make sure that you have the strongest, most versatile boat on the market.